Hey everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of the Weekly Wrap-Up. I'm Hayes Brubaker.
And I'm Jessica Lee. On today's show, you'll be joining us in our new conversation about the biggest news headlines of this week.
Yep. There was yet another, we're just going to jump right in. There was yet another assassination attempt on President Donald Trump, or former President Donald Trump. Ryan Routh, I think is how you say his last name, Routh or Roth? Or Ruth. A 58-year-old man was arrested Sunday afternoon after a Secret Service agent spotted a firearm sticking through a chain link fence on Trump's West Palm Beach golf course.
That's crazy.
Yeah, did you hear about it?
Of course I did, but you know what I thought was crazy is that I didn't hear about it until like days after.
Oh,
I
really?
feel like these assassination attempts are becoming so more common, this whatever threat to democracy, that like the news is not covering it as much.
Yeah. I think that's one of the issues with this whole threat to democracy thing that they're pushing. It's causing so much division in people that it's leading like extremists like this guy, Mr. Ryan, to do these like these crazy acts. Like this is not something that should be happening that often. And I don't know if it's because of like the incompetency of like the current Secret Service or something, or if it's just these are more common than they used to be. I don't know.
Speaking of this divide, like there was also a bomb threat that came out. Did you hear about that?
I did not hear about a bomb threat.
Yeah, but I guess it was fake. It wasn't real.
Okay.
But I also heard that more conservative outlets were talking about that instead.
Oh, I see.
And there wasn't really much on like broadcast news or whatever, but I think it was crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
My question is specifically about this event, like, or about Trump playing golf. Why did they not like do like a security perimeter check before he went out? Like they were doing it as he was golfing.
Especially after this first assassination.
I know. I thought they would have like tripled their security, but I guess not.
I don't know.
But moving on into some different news. You want to take over?
Yeah.
The story?
So all of our reporters have been talking about Diddy for this whole week.
Yes. Lots of Diddy stories.
You're unaware, earlier this week he was arrested for sex trafficking and racketeering. And racketeering, I learned, is like a fancy word for fraud.
Yes.
And I know there's other charges too, but those are the big two. And he also denied it. He pleaded not guilty.
Pleaded not guilty, yeah. Well.
So my big question is,
Yes.
do you think he's guilty?
Of course I think he's guilty.
I agree.
The only reason I think that he has not been charged up until this point is that he's like a very wealthy and like well-known individual, so they usually get a little bit of special treatment, unfortunately. But do you want me to read off a list of all his crimes? They're kind of rough, but I'll go for it. So
Sensitive.
Here we go. Sex trafficking, forced labor, interstate transportation for the purpose of prostitution, drug offense, such as the possession of narcotics, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice.
Arson?
Arson.
I didn't hear about arson.
Yeah.
I want to go specifically into what everybody's talking about. The 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
Oh, yes.
And these freak offs.
Yeah, yeah.
I know it's a sensitive topic, but I think it's too much. Like people are like, oh yeah, I didn't expect him to be, but like honestly, again, he has money, he has power. Why wouldn't he take advantage of it? He's human, but no, I'm not.
Yes.
He's very wrong for doing this.
Yes,
and
he is.
Just
And
abusing people.
I think another reason why he didn't get like charged earlier is he had a lot of blackmail via like videotapes and stuff of like these events with people so that they wouldn't talk and things like that. So it's just a whole thing, and it's just a bad situation. But I think he's arrested now, so he's gotten charged, and he like with no bail, right? Correct, if I'm not mistaken.
No bail. He has been denied bail like two times now.
Okay, so
But
I guess
they have another hearing coming up.
Okay, so I guess we'll cover back, or somebody at Inside Swoop will give us an update eventually.
Yeah, so make sure you tune in to Inside Swoop if you want to stay updated on this case.
That's a good plug right there. That was good. In other world news, though, this past weekend, 6 British diplomats were expelled from the British embassy in Russia. The reason for this like expelling of these diplomats was Russia claims that they were spies, and the UK responded and said that there was nothing to back up these claims, that they just got rid of them for no reason.
Russia's a shady girl.
Russia is quite shady.
I think this is another thing of like power. She's on a power trip. And if I had that much power, I would be kicking people out of my country.
Yeah.
Like what?
I mean, especially if they're causing like issues for some reason, like,
and concern.
And like finding a reason to have them kicked out is not like out of the realm of possibilities, I think.
You could just claim anything with money.
All right, we do have another update. We're moving on to our next story here. So the billionaire story that we covered last week, in case anybody missed it, there's a tech billionaire named Jared Isaacman, was a part of a team with SpaceX, and they did a private spacewalk up in space, the first ever private spacewalk. And the news is he's back. Like, they landed safely in the Gulf of Mexico, and I believe we have a picture, So that was the splashdown. They landed in the middle of the night, and they were all good. It was a good story, so not too much like
it's just a little
bad
update.
News. Just a little update.
How do you feel about the moon? I would literally love to go to the moon. If I had money, again, money, then I would go on private spacewalks every single week.
Hey, if you keep up this journalism thing and you become a mainstream reporter, maybe they'll bring you to the first like moon base or something.
I'll be the first to report news on the moon.
Live on the moon. I would definitely go as well.
That's good. The moon's really cool.
The moon's really cool.
Speaking of the moon. On Tuesday, there was a supermoon and partial lunar eclipse.
There was.
The moon was huge. People from all over North and South America were able to see this beautiful, big moon.
Yes.
And so, facts about the lunar eclipse. It happens when the Earth passes between the sun and the moon.
Exactly.
And because the moon would be so close, it was very huge. Did you get any pictures?
I unfortunately did not get any pictures.
Oh,
I was on the drive home when it was at its biggest.
Yes,
it was just a normal sized moon when I got home. But I didn't notice like the actual partial lunar eclipse part. I just saw the moon being huge. I don't know if it was later on in the evening or what.
I don't know, but I was texting a few people and they told me that when they looked up hours later, after I told them to, they couldn't see it. They just saw a normal moon.
A normal moon. So I don't know. Maybe it's like at a particular time of the night. But anyway, the moon was huge.
I wish I had taken a picture, but what sucks is when I try to take pictures of the moon, it just looks like a big blob.
Yeah, that's how it goes, especially if you're taking it with like a phone or whatnot.
Yeah.
But I think, we want to wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. That's all we have for today. Make sure you check out Inside Swoop on Facebook and Instagram to find more details about the stories that we covered from our amazing team members.
And thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Weekly Wrap Up. I'm Hayes Brubaker.
And I'm Jessica Lee.
And we'll see you next week.